Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, Rune and Tarot reading for Monday, the 15th of November, 2021. Well, I hope y'all had a good weekend. I don't think the weather can make up its mind, but every time we have winds from the south, the temperatures rise. It was almost 70 here, yesterday, and I mean, sometimes it's, maybe it doesn't get above, in the 40s, but then all of a sudden we'll have this great weather. So I don't know what's going on. I don't have a clue. Uh, and so I just know we were supposed to get a lot of wind, and I don't think it really started until we got up this morning. I don't think that happened. And so I hate that at night, don't you, when the wind is blowing and you're trying to sleep, and we have the chickens right behind our bedroom, and there's a tarp that's over, kind of covers where they come out of their house, and just to give them a little dry area in case it's raining or something, which doesn't usually happen much here, but it just sort of protects them a little bit from the elements. And so, and I hear that flapping and I don't sleep. So anyway, before it was all the trees that were right next to the house that were, you know, touching it and scraping against it. And it just made ridiculous noises. And so my husband got out there, after the first night of that, he got out there and he cut down a bunch of stuff. So now that's not happening, at least. And so anyhow, well, I have already done this reading once today, and then I said some stuff at the end of it that just was not accurate. I was talking about the full moon and when that was, and so rather than trying to find that, cut it off, and redo that, I'm just going to read. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the reading that I did, and uh, there's a lot of synchronicity between the reading today and the esoteric influences that I do. Those go out, they go out in a newsletter on Saturdays. If you want to sign up for that, that's over there on the side panel of the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there's imsteppingaside.com, and there's links below the video here if you click on show more. And if you're a YouTube person, you already know that, but if you don't, just click on that and it'll give you some links to wherever I am, and the web address for Stepping Aside is there as well. So anyhow, I do those, and then they go out on the blog on Sunday. And it basically looks at runic, both Elder Futhark and geomancy runes, the lunar transits, maybe some others. If there's not that many, I'll look through the chart and see if there's anything else interesting that needs to go on there. There's also the third paragraph of it deals with human design influences. That's an interaction between planetary influences and the I Ching. That's another type of I hate to call it an astrology system. I mean, it kind of is, but it really isn't. But it's really cool, and it's really prescient, and I like it. So I just try to combine all that stuff together in something meaningful for each day. So check that out, especially for today, because I think that this reading really does follow it. Not intentionally or anything, but it does. So anyhow, if this is your first time here, welcome. And I'm just going to read a little bit here, talk a little bit about what the esoteric influences are for today. They basically suggest a new path is opening, and you might want to let go of resistance to new experiences so that you can move into a new direction. So with that overall as the premise from that, I then drew Hagalas, the Norn rune of the past. It's also the witch rune. It's transformation, though, within a fixed framework. So it's allowing you to, not say everything about you doesn't work, but there could be just some things that are holding you back. And where are they coming from? Part of it is from the lunar transits for today, but part of it is from Cauda Draconis. I drew Cauda Draconis as the geomancy rune. And Cauda Draconis is governed by the south node of the moon. So it's dealing with endings. It's dealing with karma or past life experience or past experiences in your current life that have impacted you in a way that maybe can give you a broader message, something that it can teach you about yourself or about how you interact with the world or your experiences or with other people. And so basically what I think that this is doing is it's aligning with today's message there, where something new could be opening for you today, and to not allow your inner the things that are keeping you emotionally stuck, in other words, that make you maybe react in a more resistive or fear-based way, and to let go of that, to deal with that, and to take a look at it and see how that's really impacting your life, and how you can, and whether or not it's impacting your ability to even advance in your life, say in your career. And basically the reading itself kind of takes, I think, a career focus for today. Given that this is a 6 numerology for today, we're looking at harmony, shared path, responsibility, reciprocity, leadership, give and take. And I drew the 6 of Cups. And here, that's the first card I drew. And here we're seeing an offering, basically, random act of kindness. A woman is out there. She's offering chalices filled with flowers. You see the white flower in each one. Denotes purity of motive, purity of intention. She doesn't expect anything for what she's doing. You see Gebo over here, the rune Gebo. I don't know if that was intentional or not on the part of Pamela Coleman Smith when she drew these cards for the Rider-Waite deck. But I think that it's there, and I'm going to read it as such, as reciprocity, the gift of reciprocity with others. So again, that energy is kind of what is at the source of what's going to happen today. Some reciprocity, an offering perhaps. But if we're talking about, well, there goes the card. Hang on. It doesn't want to stay in my hand today. But again, here we have the King of Swords, the next card I drew. Kings bother me because they never seem to look you in the eye in the Rider-Waite. In other decks they do, but in this one they don't. So there's this element, same with the Emperor, there's this element of deception, I think, where, they have their own thing and they're only going to share so much, right? And so you see Hugin and Munin, Odin's ravens up there, if you want to interpret it that way. But you see the sketchy brown clouds. Now, either he's trying to cut through that deception with some analytical, because let's face it, the King of Swords is the air element, so he's going to be analytical in his assessment of things. He's going to, this card can also suggest inner and outer authority. So either like this could be your boss or something, or it could be the inner authority that you have to take a look at, and the strength that you have to take a look at the issues that you're dealing with, if we're going to align it with resistance to new experiences. So it could also be inner authority. How much are you able to analyze what you're dealing with, even if it's your own sense of whether or not you're willing to move forward, or that completely freaks you out and you don't want to do that, right? But I think it's suggesting that whatever is going on here today, you need to take an analytical approach to it, use logic, an objective analysis of the current situation, or of past influences are needed. And again, I think that this talks about that inner transformation that's possible with Hagalaz if you let go of emotions that no longer serve you. They came from somewhere. Okay, you've got to go back and take a look at what that is. If it was from childhood, maybe issues with your parents, perhaps your father, or maybe there have been issues. Maybe you had, I had a real significant one with a male teacher who would not help me. He simply would not help me. He was more interested in talking to He was a basketball coach. It was in the 5th grade, and his little basketball boys were there and on the team, and he was talking to them when we were all supposed to be lining up to get help with our math problems. Well, I had a question. But because my own father had helped me with my math assignment in the past, he just said, go home and ask your dad. So it was very significant. And it left me feeling like I could not ask someone in authority for help. It was very profound. And so that's an example of where something in the past, is so, and you don't realize it at the time, right? But then you think about, well, why am I struggling so much right now? And then maybe it just hits you. It's like, well, maybe a memory surfaces. Where is this coming from? Maybe it's more immediate than childhood. Maybe it's you've had another situation in the past with the same boss, maybe the same supervisor, where it's left you feeling hesitant to even feel like you have the inner ability to even do anything, right? So your self-esteem, in other words, can be affected. And then that impacts your willingness to assert yourself or extend yourself or do something, right? But then we have the 8 of Pentacles, and we see a man diligently working on his craft. So maybe in spite of all of that, maybe if this is your job that we're talking about, maybe what you've continued to do is to put in the time, and maybe that's part of the objective analysis. Maybe it's your emotions that are holding you back, the fear that's holding you back, maybe, again, based on some past experience in your life at any time, or past life experience that's coming in and resonating, that's holding you back from asserting yourself with the skill set that you actually have. This guy's doing this independent of anything else. He's off by himself. He's taking his time. He's working diligently. But the thing about the 8, see, part of that is not only material achievement, but material recognition. So I suspect that there could be something behind the scenes today that is an offering that's about to happen. Maybe you're about to be offered a new position, or a new job is coming your way, or something at a different place, or maybe the way is opening on the new path for maybe a new maybe you can do a new business, leave what you're doing and open your own business. Maybe you've been doing this on the side because this is your passion and you're simply doing something right now that pays the bills. Well, maybe you're going to go off into a new direction that gives you a whole other experience than what you're having here. You just have to be willing to take a look at whatever it is that's holding you back and keeping you from doing this, or feeling comfortable to maybe accept a managerial or supervisory role within your current job, maybe. The idea that this could be inner authority is there, but it's also external authority. Perhaps people are noticing what you're doing. Maybe you've taken a class that's helped you in the position that you have, or prepared you for a broader position where you are. Maybe the company itself has offered training that you've taken the initiative over time to do and to learn some new things. And so maybe upper management is having a meeting, say, and they need to fill a position, a supervisory position, and rather from hiring from without, the people in the meeting say, someone speaks up and says, well, hey, so-and-so has been working really hard, and they've been taking these classes, and they seem to they have this managerial or leadership quality to them. So how about we put this person, offer it to them first before we start looking somewhere else, because maybe we've got, a star right here that's ready to come out and be seen. So if that's happening, then think about this. If you're feeling like, oh gosh, if this gets offered to you and you're afraid to take it, don't be afraid to take it. You've put in the time. You've put in the effort, clearly. You're continuing to build your skill set. The fact that it's going upward, there's a sense of continuation about this, that you're still progressing. But people are noticing, maybe. in a way that maybe you didn't even realize. There's a sense of random acts of kindness here in this offering. And so you don't necessarily see it coming. That's why I think that there may be something going on behind the scenes that you don't know about, where people are considering just how worthy you really are. And if you feel like inside you're not, then you've got to go within and figure out, where's that coming from? Because you don't want to let that hold you back, right? So I thought, I'm going to take a fourth card. And so I took the 13th one for randomness. Like anytime I take an extra one, I want to be sure of its randomness. So I take the 13th one. 13 is a number that is a very powerful number, but it's a powerful one for me. I was born on the 13th of October. And everything seems to happen to me in 13. So whenever in tarot, when I'm or even in taking the runes, I might take the 13th one, just because it just seems to have more significance, at least for me. But I drew the Knight of Swords. And, this is talking about swift movement, clearing out the deception, and maybe that self-deception here with the darker clouds. But you see the white one, kind of next to him. He's bringing in truth. So what the knight is suggesting to you is you've got to see yourself in a realistic way and accept the challenge, that's being put in front of you, either to go in a completely new path with either a new job or opening your own business or something like that, or within the one that you're in, being able to see that this might seem a little scary, but it's also exciting. There's an excitement about the knights. They're going on a quest. They're going into battle. They're asserting themselves in a way on behalf of other people, but you can also do the same for yourself, right? So I think basically overall, you can see if you look at today's esoteric influences that it kind of began there, and then the runes will tell us what's the focus of and there's runes in that in the esoteric influence as well that are different than these. I suppose I could just use those, but I kind of like the randomness of pulling them at the time of the reading. So. But I do think that that's really talking about checking in with yourself. If you feel hesitant at all to take the new path and you just want to go along with the way things have been going, it's like, no, today and throughout this entire week, we have the opportunity for some transition to take place. We're going to see that, and this is where I messed up on the reading before at the end. It wasn't the reading itself, but I got the days wrong on the partial eclipse and the full moon. I said that the partial eclipse started on Wednesday and the full moon was on Thursday. Actually, it's Thursday and Friday. And I'm as I'm saying it, I'm thinking no, but I was working on I do a recommendation on Patreon for different magical workings you can do, spells you can do each day, or something magical you can do each day, and I use the esoteric influences as the basis for it, and so I was suggesting a working that could begin during the partial lunar eclipse. And eclipses are very it's about transition, basically. You get with the lunar ones, you get a whole month of a whole lunar month at one time, basically. And so you get to see the transition between, one day to the next, and from one experience to the next. And then it opens up then into the full moon. But basically it starts at 10:01 p.m. Thursday night, and then the full moon is at 12:57 a.m. So just a few hours later, on Friday, early Friday morning. So if you wanted to stay up, for example, and do a working, you could do some kind of ritual that involves transition or transformation or what have you, using the eclipse energy, beginning with that, and then having it come to fullness, and then it. But you won't see it because you will, but it's like a blood moon effect, basically. Anyway, but you can work with those energies anyway on Thursday and Friday. But Thursday we'll talk again for another edition of As Above, So Below. I do this twice a week, as you know. It used to be called Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for those people who haven't been here in a while. I changed the name. It's the same thing, but I changed the name finally. And I think that then we'll talk on Thursday, and then that'll actually be the time or the day of the partial eclipse later on that night. And then Friday is actually the full moon. And let me just be sure that I said that right. Let's see, not that. Just to be absolutely sure, because, you know, once I screw up once, I'm going to do it again. Yeah, partial lunar eclipse on Thursday the 18th, and then the 19th is the full moon. But, you know, at the time of fullness, it's, you know, early in the morning. So if you want to be up for it, I'm going to be. And I'm gonna use that time. Haven't decided yet how I'm going to do that, but I'm gonna do some kind of meditative ritual for that time. So anyway, I like the eclipses. I like the equinoxes. I like that transition type of energy. So see if you like it too. But just know that even though it doesn't happen till then, you're still going to experience the shadow effect before and after. And so I think that you can work with those energies to get yourself in a place where you can transition into something new, into a new path. But again, it involves looking within and making sure that there's nothing that's emotion based or experience based that's holding you back when it doesn't need to. So anyhow, so that's it for today. Come back Thursday again, and we'll talk some more. We'll do another reading and see how that goes, and maybe I'll have a little more clarity on what I'm going to do Thursday night and early Friday morning for the eclipse and the full moon stuff for that time. So anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for coming by. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that, and we'll talk again Thursday. So have a wonderful week, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.